Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. This historical moment continues to stir emotions in you and me and in the hearts of every Indian. August 15th, 1947, when India got its independence from the British rule. Before going further into the story, let me introduce myself. I'm Thasneem Rahmathullah from the Department of BA Function English. Allow me to take you to the life of a person who was born exactly on the midnight of August 15th, 1947. And now, he was no ordinary person. He was very special. He had telepathic powers, through which he could not only just read other people's mind, but he could connect various minds together. He is Salim Sinai, the protagonist of Salman Rushdie's Booker Prize-winning novel, Midnight's Children. Now the book is basically the story of 1001 children born exactly on the midnight of August 15th, 1947. And they were no ordinary kids. They were very special with extraordinary powers. But by the end of the story, we find that they're all forcefully sterilized in a mass sterilization campaign during the emergency of India. Now, the book is divided into three parts. Usually when we hear or listen to the life of a person, it starts from his childhood, the adulthood, and the rest of the story. But this one starts from his grandfather's history. So the first book deals with how his grandparents met and got married, and how his parents met, and then his birth. And his birth is very significant. It was on August 15th, 1947. Now the story moves on, and in the second book, we find that a deadly secret is revealed. Do you want to know what it is? It is where we come to know of the Midnight Children's swap, where Salim is swapped with a baby called Shiva at the time of their birth by a nurse called Mary. And by this, he is not the biological son of his parents or grandparents that he's talking about. So this particular event changes the entire life of Salim Sinai, and the story goes on, and Shiva does not know the truth and he dies in the end. And finally, the story ends with Salim Sinai reuniting with his caretaker Mary and also marrying Padma, the love of his life. And now nearing his 31st birthday, he prophesies that he is going to die disintegrating into millions of specks of dust. And that is when he feels an urge to tell his life story to someone, and he tells it to Padma. This is not just a story. It has so many historical relevance. It is merely the life of Salim Sinai is merely an extended metaphor of the literal narrative of history of India. Each of the important events in Salim Sinai's life is linked to various historical events in India, be it the independence and partition of India, be it the emergency in India, or the Indo-Pakistan War, or the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Is there anyone who has read Midnight's Children here? Okay, it's full of history, and the reason why it was widely accepted at the time of publication was that it's not just history or story. It was an epic. It was a fable, all at the same time. And in Midnight's Children, Salman Rushdie uses English in a very confident way. He adds spices and flavors and a chutnification of various themes and languages too, which we cannot find in the contemporary writers during that time. So even Salman Rushdie tells that if our protagonist Salim Sinai had a theme song, it would be Mera juta hai Japani, patlu Englishstani, sar pe laal topi rozi, fir bhi dil hai Hindustani. Oh, my shoes are Japanese, and my trousers English, and on my head a red Russian hat, but my heart is still Indian. So in this, he's trying to tell that Even if Midnight Children is written in English, that is the language of the colonizers, the core and heart of Midnight Children is still Indian. India is like two sides of a coin. On one side, we have rich culture and heritage, but on the other side, we can see some ugly traditions. In India, taking an example from Midnight's Children, the depiction of Salim Sinai's mother, Amina, in the early pages, she is a single unmarried woman. And she does not find much of textual references. But when she comes as a mother or a wife, she has a major role. Okay, so this is where we have to question if our education is serving its purpose. It's not changing the mentality of people. Now, why I chose this book was mainly because as an English student, we have a lot of theories for which Midnight Children is used as an example. And there's another element that makes this book very unique. It's called the magical realism. It has never been used in any other Indian writing in English until Salman Rushdie's. So it's a blend of magic and fantasy. It's not just fiction where a whole new different world is created, but it is putting magical elements in perfectly real life contexts. Reading can expand your mind. When I read this book from a different perspectives, I could feel my transformations in my thoughts. And the movies I watched after that, or the books I read after that, I could go beyond the story. And now, looking back into Salman Rushdie's Midnight Children, looking back to Midnight Children, what Salman Rushdie is trying to convey is that India got its freedom after a lot of struggle. And now what's the condition of India today? So we, as the young and dynamic population of India, must carry the flame of peace and love. Time is not measured by the passing of the years, but by what one does, what one feels, and what one achieves.